Part 177. Sky Coffin. Author, Ching Nian Wanbao. Chapter 1761. Because only in this way can I receive your thoughts. I looked at Huaxiu blankly, then nodded and said, Huaxiu, don't worry, I will definitely do it. This is exactly the agreement Huaxiu told me. From that day on, I was the only person left in this world who could treat flowers well. In order to prevent her from feeling lonely, I went to Luohua Garden more and more often. This lasted for 3 years. In the 5th year of my acquaintance with Huaxiu, my father discovered that I often went to Huaxiu. Father was furious and wanted to kill Huaxiu. It was only after my hard words to persuade my father that he gave up. Moreover, my father asked me not to see Huaxiu again. I can't make my father angry at this time. Once my father gets angry, I may be deposed as the crown prince. Only by becoming emperor can Huaxiu leave that ghost place. In order to achieve this goal, I have no choice but to not see Huaxiu. Even so, I would still secretly order people to deliver daily necessities to Huaxiu. But I never saw Huaxiu again before becoming emperor. However, I remember the agreement with Huaxiu. I plant dandelions and wait until the dandelion seeds mature to float in the wind. I hope it will float in front of Huaxiu. Because then Huaxiu will know that I am missing her. I inherited the throne at the age of 16. The first thing to do after inheriting the throne is to go to Luohua Garden. In the Luohua Garden, I saw Huaxiu, whom I had not seen for a long time. Huaxiu has grown into an unparalleled beauty. When she saw me, she hugged me and cried. She kept yelling that she thought I would never want her again. How could I really not want her? After all, she is my biological sister, and I am the only person she can rely on. After ascending the throne, I resumed my status as Princess Huaxiu. This move was opposed by many ministers. Most of the opponents were veterans. They believe that Huaxiu is an unknown person and will definitely threaten my throne as long as he is still alive. I don't care what they say. After Huaxiu regained her status as a princess, I gave her my absolute love. I will give her whatever she likes. Wherever she wants to go, I will ask someone to go with her. But as I was busy with government affairs, I didn't realize that I spent less and less time with Huaxiu. One day Huaxiu came to me and cried to me, Brother Imperial, I never ask for glory and wealth. All I ever want is your company. When I saw Huaxiu crying, I just thought she was having a bad temper. It can only be dismissed. After all, Huaxiu had a bad temper with me before. But I didn't expect that Huaxiu would come for real this time. Since that day, there has been an extra wall between Huaxiu and me. The conflicts between me and her are getting deeper and deeper. Later one day, the maid of Huaxiu's palace came to report that Huaxiu had sneaked out. At that time, I was as anxious as a hot ant, searching for her all over the world. But no matter how I searched, there was still no news about Huaxiu. Just when I thought Huaxiu was dead, Huaxiu was brought back by Huoqiubing. When I saw Huaxiu again, Huaxiu treated me like a stranger. This makes me feel sad and helpless. I don't know why Huaxiu and I became like this. I don't know why Huaxiu hates me. How did Huaxiu meet Huoqiubing? The reason is very simple, that is, Huaxiu wandered around after leaving the palace, and even went to the territory of the Huns. End of chapter. Sky Coffin. Author, Ching Nian Wanbao. Chapter 1762. After Huaxiu was captured by the Xiannu, he was rescued by Huoqiubing. Afterwards, Huaxiu said that she wanted to marry Huoqiubing and asked me to grant her the marriage. Huaxiu has been by my side since she was 6 years old. After all these years, I have never seen her fall in love with a man. To be honest, I really don't want Huaxiu to leave me. After all, if she marries Huo Qubing, wouldn't I become a lonely old man in the future? But in the end, I agreed. Huo Qubing was 23 years old at the time. Only with him did the Han dynasty gain dignity. You must know that before my generation, the Huns were extremely arrogant, invading my Han territory and killing my Han people. It was Wei Qing and Huo Qubing who changed this situation. Huo Qubing truly made it possible for the Huns to escape far away, leaving Monan without a royal court. But after I married Huashiu to Huo Qubing, various discordant voices appeared in the court. The ministers all said that Huo Qubing had such great achievements that he could not be retained and had to avoid future troubles. Others say that Huo Qubing has too much power, and Huashiu has a special destiny. If I marry Huashiu to Huo Qubing will definitely turn against me. Ancient emperors had three choices for the heroes who had great achievements and shocked the emperor. The first is to cut through the mess with a sharp knife. The second type of unconditional trust. The third type is peaceful. To be honest, I also thought about killing Huo Qubing. But when I think about spending time off, I can only give up. But one day, the minister reported that Huo Qubing was seriously ill and asked me if he wanted to give him medicine. I didn't take it seriously at first and just said I would give him medicine. But the minister unexpectedly guessed my intentions and secretly sent poison to Huo Qubing. Huo Qubing was already seriously ill, and he couldn't live long even without my poison. But this poison became the trigger for Huashiu and me to break up. After Huo Qubing died, Huashiu met me. I originally expected Huashiu to yell at me. But in fact, Huashiu didn't. She just said to me calmly, "Brother Huang, do you know why I want to marry Huo Qubing?" I shook my head and replied, "I don't know." Huashiu explained, "Because of you, I originally wanted to propose marriage to attract your attention, but what happened? You actually agreed to marry me happily." I looked at Huashiu blankly, not knowing how to explain it. Huashiu continued, "I have never been attracted to a man. At first I wanted to use Huo Qubing to make you angry. I naively thought that doing so would make you stay with me as often as you did when you were a child. But, you still don't care about me." Later, I discovered that I was indeed attracted to Huo Qubing, but what happened after that? You sent someone to kill him again. Huashiu looked at me with disappointment in his eyes and said, "Brother Emperor, it was you who brought me out of that courtyard. It was you who protected me since I was a child. You ignored the objections of the ministers and made me the princess of a man again. I thought you and I, brother and sister, would always be like this. But since you took that seat, you have never come to see me again. Every time I go to look for you, you always disappear for various reasons." I looked at Huashiu and said in a hoarse voice, "Huashiu, I am the emperor of the Han dynasty, and all the people in the world are my relatives. Since I sit in this position, I must think about them and live for them." Huashiu looked at me with red eyes and asked, "What about me? Then am I not your relative?" "Of course you are," I replied. Huashiu raised a wry smile at the corner of his mouth and said, "I would rather become your subject, because then I can enjoy your supreme gift. It won't be like this now." End of chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Sky Coffin. Author, Qing Nian Wanbao. Chapter 1763. Huashiu looked at me and said word by word, "Brother Emperor, you are the person I care about most, and Huo Qubing is the only person who loves me. I can't hate you because you killed Huo Qubing, but I will forgive you for neglecting me. I just want to be your sister, the sister who cries with you and laughs with you." After saying that, Huashiu turned around and left. I looked at Huashiu's leaving figure and shouted, Where are you going?" Huashiu paused and replied, "I don't know. It's probably just like falling catkins, floating in the wind. As soon as he finished speaking, Hwashiu left. Since then, I have never seen Hwashiu again. But after the flower break left, I would plant catkins, also known as dandelions, every year. I hope that one day these dandelion seeds will fly to Hwashiu's side. However, before I died, I heard news about Hwashiu from the mouth of the alchemist Zhao Mian. Hwashiu wanted to resurrect Huo Qubing because of the guilt in his heart and his longing for Huo Qubing. Later, following the advice of the warlock Zhao Mian, he found boys and girls to sacrifice. Then when the time came for her to leave, she was buried in that tomb. The memory is gone here. I looked at Hwashiu in my arms and said with a choked voice, Hwashiu, I remember everything. I'm sorry. If I could have cared more about you in my last life, you wouldn't have waited for 1,000 years. Hwashiu smiled at me and said, brother, actually this matter is also my fault. Some things are either what I think or not. You are the emperor and care about the world, but I want to monopolize yours pampering. This idea is too selfish. In order to attract your attention, I will not hesitate to ask you to marry me. It was my angry behavior that harmed Huo Qubing and those children. I shook my head desperately at Hwashiu and said, Hwashiu, how can you be selfish? Is there any sister in the world who doesn't want all the love from her brother? It's me, it's my fault. Hwashiu stretched out his hand and gently touched my cheek. Brother, actually the person I have been waiting for 1,000 years is not Huo Qubing, but you. Hwashiu told what happened after she left me. After she left me, she was floating around like a dandelion. However, after these years of wandering, her guilt for Huo Qubing only increased. Because Hwashiu thought she was the one who killed Huo Qubing. If she hadn't granted the marriage out of anger, I wouldn't have poisoned Huo Qubing to death. Later, Zhao Mian found Hwashiu. Under Zhao Mian's instigation, Hwashiu sacrificed boys and girls in order to resurrect Huo Qubing. Brother, actually I didn't know I wanted to sacrifice those children. Zhao Mian just told me that a little blood from them would be enough, but... Hwashiu said, his eyes full of regret. But I didn't expect that I would actually kill them. What Zhao Mian did in this matter was indeed unreasonable. But the matter has passed and there is no need to mention it again. Hwashiu continued, brother, I did have feelings for Huo Qubing, but, the person I want to accompany you the most is you. What I said before that I lived for Huo Qubing in my last life, and I live for you in this life is actually a lie. The reason I say this is because I'm afraid of triggering your memory and letting you know the truth about my last life. I'm afraid that you won't forgive me because of my willfulness and misunderstanding in my last life. Hwashiu's voice trembled a little and said, brother, I'm sorry, in the last life, I was too willful and misunderstood you, which made you feel cold. End of chapter. Sky Coffin. Author, Qing Nian Wanbao. Chapter 1764. The memories between Hwashiu and I have only come to light now. If I had remembered this earlier, Hwashiu would not feel guilty to this day. The flesh and blood on Hwashiu's body began to fall off. I could clearly see every knife mark on her. The originally beautiful face was now riddled with holes. I can't imagine how Hwashiu cut off his own flesh and blood with one knife. I can't even imagine the pain Hwashiu suffered. Brother, am I ugly now? Hwashiu asked. With tears in my eyes, I shook my head at Hwashiu and said, she's not ugly, my sister is always the most beautiful. The corners of Hwashiu's mouth turned up into a smile. She stared blankly at the ceiling and murmured in a low voice, brother, 1,000 years, 1,000 years is too long. I was locked up in that dark tomb, and I never wanted to get out. I just wanted to live on. This is how I can repay the mistakes I have made. Huo Qubing and I have only been married for a few months. I don't know if he likes me. But I know that besides being moved by him for a moment, I feel even more guilty. If it wasn't for me, he wouldn't have died. I said to Hwashiu with a trembling voice, I never thought about killing Huokyubing. Hwashiu looked at me and said softly, I know everything, but I know it's too late. Brother, I have no father, no mother, and no relatives. Only you are my only support. If it weren't for my brother, I'm afraid my sister would never be able to leave the small courtyard where I was imprisoned. For Hwashiu, I am truly her only one. After her father, the queen, and her mother gave birth to her, they never saw her again. Why isn't Hwashiu my only one? Hwashiu looked at me quietly, her eyes full of reluctance. I didn't realize it until now. Dandelions don't have any promises. They will be scattered when the wind blows. But, brother, after I leave, you must plant dandelions. Because when the wind blows and the fluff rises, one day those white, flawless, free pom-poms will come to me. Hwashiu's pupils became more and more dilated. She stretched out her hand with difficulty and touched my face. Sister, you can't always accompany your brother. I hope everything goes well in the future, brother. Hwashiu's hand stopped in front of my cheek and suddenly fell. At this moment, time seemed to stand still and the world fell into deathly silence. I couldn't hear any sound, couldn't remember anything, I was just holding Hwashiu blankly like a puppet. Hwashiu is gone, like a dandelion rising in the wind, floating freely between the sky and the earth. Perhaps Hwashiu is envious of dandelions. She had been imprisoned in that small courtyard since she was a child. She longs for the outside world. Yearning for freedom. It rises with the wind, stops and falls, and starts again and again. I looked at Hwashiu's body and burst into tears. Sometimes I really want to ask God. Why are you so cruel to me? Why should the existence I cherish be taken away one by one? I didn't cry loudly, I just held Hwashiu's body and cried silently. The sadness filled my heart. I don't know how long it took, but the door to the room suddenly opened. Zhongque rushed in. When he saw what was happening in the room, he was startled at first, then came to my side and roared, Lusu! What are you doing? I raised my gray eyes and looked at Zhongque. End of chapter. Sky Coffin. Author, Qing Nian Wanbao. Chapter 1765. Zhongque was furious, his eyes full of disappointment. Lusu, cheer up. Zhongque directly grabbed my neck and lifted me up. Your sister can still be saved. When I heard this, it was like I was grasping at straws. Is there any hope? Zhongque nodded and said, I wonder if you have heard of such a legend. What legend? The heavenly coffin is where the souls of heaven and earth gather. Those who enter the coffin can heal all the regrets in their hearts. To heal all regrets means that the dead can live, but only if either the body or the soul is intact. Your sister's conscious memory has not dissipated yet. I have cast a spell to condense it before, and it should still be in the body now. Now you just need to preserve your sister's body. After you finish everything, enter the coffin and your sister can come back to life. My dead gray eyes regained some sparkle. I know this legend, but is this legend true? I don't know if it's true, but a glimmer of hope is better than nothing. Zhongque is right, hope is better than despair. I asked in a panic, then how should I preserve my sister's body? Zhongque replied, you don't have to worry about this matter. I have a way. Now, your mission is to rescue Su Tianxian. After you resolve everything, remember to come to me and add my soul to the list of gods. I was slightly startled. At this moment I knew that Zhongque and Emperor Fengdu were not in the same group. Although he did not express his position clearly, his actions said it all. Okay, I'll trouble you then. I said to Zhongque. Zhongque made the secret with both hands and said to me, Let's go quickly. Emperor Fengdu originally wanted to use your sister and Su Tianqian to blackmail you, but now your sister's path is blocked. They can only focus all their energy on Su Tianqian on the body. I nodded and rushed out of the room. I don't care whether the legend is true or not, even if it is false, I will try my best to give it a try. I would rather die than have someone I hold dear come back to life. Grandparents, parents, and uncle probably have no chance of resurrection. The colorful butterfly is gone too, because there was nothing left for me when the colorful butterfly disappeared. But Hua Xiu and Miao Fengluan may be resurrected. Of course there is Su Tianqian. Su Tianxuan's body and soul are about to be destroyed. As long as I enter the coffin before her body and soul are destroyed, she can survive. As soon as I rushed out of the room, I saw a big black bird flying towards me. It's Xiaohe. Xiaohe is a golden crow, his body is very huge, and his whole body is pitch black, with golden flames burning all over his body. His eyes are like pearls, as if they can penetrate the darkness and illuminate the night sky. Xiaohe stopped in front of me, and Xiangyi jumped off his back. Lu Su, how is the situation? Xiangyi asked. I said to Xiangyi, you stay here and watch over Zhongkui and Huaxiu while I go rescue Su Tianqian. Xiangyi was startled and then nodded. I didn't hesitate any longer and jumped directly onto Xiaohe's back. Xiaohe took me and flapped my wings to fly towards where Su Tianqian was. I stood on Xiaohe's back and had a panoramic view of the entire Fengdu city. The figures in Fengdu city flickered. If you look closely, you will see that they are countless Yin soldiers. These Yin soldiers armed themselves with weapons and attacked the altar where Su Tianqian was. End of chapter. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Sky Coffin. Author, Qingnian Wanbao. Chapter 1766. I shouted to Xiaohe, faster. Xiaohe agreed, and then flew quickly towards the altar. Just at this time, those Yin soldiers on the ground bent their bows and set arrows to attack me and Xiaohe. Arrows all over the sky were coming towards me. Just when I wanted to take action, the golden flame surrounding Xiaohe suddenly burned even more fiercely. Countless arrows were burned up immediately when they touched the golden flame. Seeing that the crisis was over, I also took back my hand. Xiaohe rushed through the sky and arrived at the altar in the blink of an eye. Su Tianqian was still tied to the stone pillar of the altar. Her face was pale, her eyes were closed tightly, and she was obviously unconscious. Seeing Su Tianqian like this, my heart felt cramped. I have a doubt in my mind. That is, with Su Tianxuan's strength, he shouldn't be in such an embarrassing situation, but now Su Tianqian is tied up here. Before he had time to think too much, Xiaohe had already arrived at the altar. I jumped down from the altar and ran quickly towards Su Tianqian. Emperor Fengdu and Yama of the 10th Palace have long disappeared. I am sure that they must be hiding in the darkness. When the time is right, they will appear and kill me. I have already broken up with Emperor Fengdu, and it is impossible for Emperor Fengdu to continue to persuade me to submit to them. I came to Su Tianqian, quickly untied the rope from Su Tianqian, then held him in my arms and called softly, Tianqian, wake up. Under my constant calling, Su Tianqian slowly opened his eyes. She looked at me blankly, her distracted eyes gradually condensed, and she asked me very weakly, Xiao Su, why are you here? When I saw Su Tianqian regaining consciousness, I breathed a long sigh of relief and said, fool, how could I not come if you are here? Su Tianxuan's face was pale and her breath was weak. I didn't see any wounds on her body, but why did she become so weak? Xiao Su, please leave here quickly. No. Don't worry about me. They deliberately brought you here and planned to kill you here, because only by killing you will they still have a chance. I shook my head at Su Tianqian and said, no, I will not leave you alone. I was able to take you home when I was in Penglai Island, and I can still do it now. Just when I was talking to Su Tianqian, the entire altar began to tremble crazily. I frowned and helped Su Tianqian stand up. I looked around and found that the entire Fengdu city had been enveloped by a huge magic circle. Sure enough, Emperor Fengdu had a backup plan. At this time, a sound that resounded throughout the world exploded in my ears. Lu Su, why are you so ignorant of good and evil? I tried my best to persuade you, but you did this to me. The sound was like thunder, making my head buzz. I followed the sound and saw Emperor Fengdu floating in the sky and earth, looking at me with cold eyes. Su Tianqian grabbed my hand and said to me, Xiao Su, this formation is called Juyu Yinju formation. It is a powerful formation based on the rich yin energy of Juyu underworld. There are 480,000 in the formation. The yin zi of 10,000 bloods can devour everything in the world. No living creature can survive here. Although the power of this formation is not as good as the Xuxian formation, it can still be regarded as the greatest formation in ancient times. After listening to Su Tianxuan's explanation, my heart sank instantly. Emperor Fengdu really took great pains to kill me. End of chapter. Sky Coffin. Author, Qing Nian Wanbao. Chapter 1767. Su Tianqian continued to say to me, Xiao Su, didn't you ask me before if the underworld is a realm of confusion? Now I can tell you that the underworld is a realm of confusion, and the reason why the underworld exists is condensed by the yin qi accumulated over time. That is to say, the main source of the power of the 9 nether yin-ju array is the yin qi of the underworld. Being in the array is equivalent to being in a mysterious realm, and nothing can survive. After listening to Su Tianxuan's explanation, I asked, what about those yin soldiers in Fengdu City? Aren't they also going to lose their souls? Su Tianqian shook his head and looked at Emperor Fengdu and said, the formation I of Juyin Yinja formation is the one who casts the formation. As long as Emperor Fengdu doesn't want to, those yin soldiers will not be scattered. If you want to break the formation, you must kill Emperor Fengdu. I nodded and said to Su Tianqian, you can rest assured that the list of gods is in my hands. I can take back the souls of famous gods. It's not that simple. Su Tianqian said solemnly, although the list of gods is powerful, it cannot easily take away the soul of an immortal. To give an easy to understand example, the jungle of nature is predatory. When a tiger is hunting prey, it is impossible to capture it easily. It must wait until the prey loses vigilance and is exhausted before taking action, because this is the only chance of capture. Can expand. What Su Tianqian said makes sense. Are rabbits weak? Is the tiger strong? But it is not that easy for a tiger to catch a rabbit, because the rabbit can run away, and the tiger can only succeed when it is tortured to exhaustion. Now that Emperor Fengdu is in his prime, if he wants to include his soul in the list of gods, he must be seriously injured so that he has no strength to resist. Thinking about it carefully, just before the gate of hell, I also used the magic whip to seriously injure the god Cai Yulei before subduing his soul. It's the same thing now. Of course, if you want to receive the souls of the 10 palaces of Yama and other gods in the underworld into the list of gods, you have to do this. I said to Su Tianqian, Tianqian, I understand, you stay here and I will handle these things. Su Tianqian said to me without thinking, no. I want to go with you. I turned back to look at Su Tianqian and said with a smile, Tianqian, you and I have known each other for such a long time, and I listen to you in everything. This time, just leave it to me. I can't let you be like Huashiu. Su Tianxuan's expression changed slightly and asked, what's wrong with Huashiu? With a wry smile on my lips, I told Su Tianqian about Huashiu's carving and deboning. Su Tianxuan's face turned even paler after hearing this. Xiao Su, you, don't worry, whether it's Huaxiu or Cai Dai, they will definitely survive. Huaxiu is still possible, but Nai Dai. I don't think about these things anymore. Okay, Tianqian, just watch from the sidelines. As soon as I finished speaking, the voice of Emperor Fengdu rang in my ears. Lu Su, give you a chance, and I can protect your whole body if you surrender without mercy. I looked at Emperor Fengdu and sneered, and said, no need, it's still unknown whether you can kill me or not. Let's see what happens next. Emperor Fengdu didn't hesitate when he saw me saying this. With a wave of his hand, the formation began to operate, and the yin qi solidified, turning into particles the size of raindrops in the air. End of chapter. Sky Coffin. Author, Qing Nian Wanbao. Chapter 1768. These particle-sized things should be what Su Tianqian calls Suiyanzi. This bloody child looks inconspicuous, but it makes me feel extremely scared. A drop of blood yinzi contains a heart-stopping yin energy. If you were touched by this bloody child, you would probably lose your soul and disappear into ashes on the spot. I looked at Xiao He. Xiao He understood instantly. I jumped on Xiao He's back. Xiao He flew towards Emperor Fengdu without any hesitation. I said to Xiao He, don't get close to that Shui Yinzi first. I have to figure out what the situation is. Xiao He agreed. At the same time, Emperor Fengdu's expression condensed, and he waved his right hand violently, and the bloody clouds came towards me overwhelmingly. Countless blood yinzi gathered together like a large dark cloud. This dark cloud covers the sky and the sun, giving people a deep sense of powerlessness. The underworld is not completely dark, but there is light, but the light is not strong. Against this light, the entire underworld looks grey and extremely weird. Bloody yinzi is like darkness swallowing everything. I squeezed the art with both hands and used the 9 layers of thunder art. Blue lightning exploded around me. I let out a light roar, and the thunder and lightning struck at Suiyanzi with lightning speed. All of a sudden, blue light enveloped the entire Fengdu city. Thunder and lightning collided with Suiyanzi. The next second, a scene that shocked me happened. Suiyanzi actually swallowed all the thunder and lightning. This blow was like a punch on cotton, with no reaction or effect. I was secretly shocked. You must know that with my current strength, the 9 layers of thunder technique can rival the heavenly thunder. Heavenly thunder is the most yang thing in the world. But now he was swallowed up so easily by Suiyanzi. This shows that the power of Suiyanzi is extraordinary. Since the 9 layers of thunder technique doesn't work, we must think of another way. My brain is working rapidly, thinking of countermeasures. I used all the means at my disposal. No matter the 9 eyes heaven realm, pure lotus, or even the 8-character mantra, they can't compete with Suiyanzi. At this time, Emperor Fengdu said, Lu Su, give up. This bloody child is condensed by the ancient yin energy of the underworld. Even the righteous gods can easily swallow it. Although you are very powerful now, if you want to break the formation, I can say that you are wishful thinking. My expression became extremely solemn. I know that Juya blood Ju formation is strong. But I didn't expect it to be so strong. Now I have no means to deal with it. No, I will definitely die here if this continues. Just as I was thinking, Emperor Fengdu controlled the Suiyanzi to attack me. The blood and yinzi condensed into a black dragon. These 9 black dragons were chasing me like crazy. I shouted at Xiao He, hide first. Xiao He agreed and then struggled to dodge under the siege of 9 black dragons. I'm thinking of ways to crack it. The source of power of Juya Yin Ju formation is the yin energy of the underworld. If there is no yin qi in the underworld, the 9 nether yin absolute formation will naturally have no effect. But trying to dissipate the yin energy of the underworld is tantamount to wishful thinking. Let's not talk about how big the underworld is, just say that the underworld has existed for eternity, and the yin-chi condensed in it is beyond my imagination. I looked at Fengdu City below me, and a bold plan emerged in my mind. I shouted to Xiaohei, fly towards the east. Although Xiaohei didn't know what I was going to do, he didn't ask any more questions and flew towards the east of Fengdu City. End of chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Sky Coffin. Author, Qing Nian Wanbao. Chapter 1769. Soon, Xiaohei took me to the east of Fengdu City. I cast Nine Eyes Heavenly Domain to transfer to the ground. The first thing I did when I came to the ground was to perform the formula with both hands and mutter something in my mouth. As I recited the mantra, golden light appeared around me. The golden light condensed into the shape of a golden dragon. I stood up suddenly and let out a sigh. The golden dragon let out a roar that resounded throughout the world, and then rushed straight towards the ground. Immediately afterwards, the golden dragon sank into the ground. After doing this, I used Nine Eyes Heavenly Domain to return to Xiaohei's back. Since I don't have the ability to dispel the yin-chi in the entire underworld, I can temporarily suppress the yin-chi in Fengdu City. With the dragon veins and dragon energy in my body, I can completely gather the dragon energy on the earth to create new dragon veins. Moreover, I just observed it. The nine nether yin formation absorbs the yin-chi of the underworld and uses the yin-chi of the underworld as the source of its power. When I inject dragon energy into the 8 directions of east, south, west, north, northeast, northwest, southeast, and southwest, and then use the Nine Eyes Heavenly Domain to cover the entire Fengdu City, in this way, the nine netherworld, the connection between Yin-Ju formation and the outside world, in this case, Juya Yin-Ju formation will not be able to continue to absorb Yin-Chi. Once the nine nether Yin-Ju formation is unable to absorb the Yin-Chi, the blood Yin-Zi will have no effect. I said to Xiaohei, go south this time. Xiaohei flew towards the south. Emperor Fengdu was suspended in mid-air and looked at me solemnly. He didn't know what I was doing, so he could only control the 9 black dragons to attack me. Xiaohei usually talks a lot and seems very unreliable, but he is still very reliable at critical moments. This guy's speed was so fast that the 9 black dragons couldn't catch up. Soon, I injected dragon energy into the 7 directions of east, south, west, north, northeast, northwest and southeast. Next, as soon as I finish the southwest direction, then I can start to counterattack. However, Emperor Fengdu seemed to have guessed what I was thinking. He suddenly exerted force. The ground in Fengdu City suddenly floated densely with blood. These blood clouds are flying in the magic circle like snowflakes all over the sky. Xiaohei's expression suddenly changed and he shouted at me, "Boss, I can't survive anymore, I can't run away." I frowned and said to Xiaohei, "Only the southwest is left. Don't worry, wait for me to think of a solution. This bloody child must not be touched. If I touch it, I will definitely be wiped out." Just when I don't know what to do, Xiaohei suddenly said to me, "Boss, I have a way." I was slightly startled and asked, "What can you do?" "What can you do?" Xiaohei said proudly, "Boss, just watch it." As soon as he finished speaking, Xiaohei's whole body was filled with golden light. In an instant, hot flames burned around Xiaohei. This flame is as dazzling and hot as the sun in such a dim environment, it is like a sun rising into the sky. This is the real fire of the sun. The true fire of the sun is only controlled by the 10 golden crows. It is the ancestor of all fires, the origin of all fires, the origin of fire, the golden flame of the sun among the 4 chaotic origin spirits of earth, water, fire, and wind, which was fused with the power of the origin of Taiyan. Xiaohei said to me, "Boss, my Taoism is too low, and the true sun fire I use may not be that powerful, but, I can support you to accomplish what you want to accomplish. Xiao Heiban is the golden crow, and it is normal to master the true fire of the sun. End of chapter. Sky Coffin. Author, Qing Nian Wanbao. Chapter 1770. At first, Xiao He wanted to follow me, but I was not willing. First, I was afraid that Xiao He would be in danger. The second is that I am afraid that Xia He will cause trouble to me. But now it seems that Xiao He has grown up to a point that I can't even imagine. With the sun's true fire protecting his body, Xiao He quickly attacked toward the southwest. Under the control of Emperor Fengdu, Suianzi came towards Xia He and surrounded him. In an instant, the entire Fengdu city was like a violent storm. Xiao He ran rampant in Suianzi. When Suianzi touched the true fire of the sun, he was immediately burned up. I was extremely surprised. He is indeed the ancestor of all fires. It can actually resist the blood yin sun condensed by the yin energy of the underworld. As time went by, Xiao He's flying speed gradually slowed down. As Xiao He said, his moral character is not high and he cannot persist for too long. But the little time Xiao He bought for me was enough. In the blink of an eye, Xia He and I arrived at the southwest of Fengdu city. This time I didn't land directly. Because everything is surrounded by blood. Although the blue Dian suns are as big as raindrops, they are completely black. When hundreds of millions of blue Dian suns gather together, they can completely swallow up the light and plunge the entire world into darkness. Although the true fire of the sun is bright, its light becomes weaker and weaker when surrounded by hundreds of millions of blood and shadows. Xiao He let out a sharp roar, then increased his speed and hit the ground directly. Immediately afterwards, the real sun fire around Xiao He burned again. The true fire of the sun surrounded me, and I jumped down from Xia He's back, and then I kneaded the formula with both hands and muttered something in my mouth. I injected dragon energy into the earth. After doing this, I took a deep breath and sat cross-legged on the ground, carefully feeling the place where I had injected dragon energy. The true fire of the sun in Xiao He became weaker and weaker, and his voice rang in my ears. "Boss, boss, I can't survive." I didn't answer, I just held my breath and felt the dragon's energy. As I became more and more focused, I could clearly feel the dragon energy flowing wildly beneath Fengdu city. Just when Xiao He was about to lose control, I suddenly opened my eyes. The moment I opened my eyes, a powerful dragon energy suddenly burst out from 8 directions: east, south, west, north, northeast, northwest, southeast, and southwest. Dragon energy soars into the sky. Dispel the Suianzi directly. The dragon energy slowly condensed in the air, condensing into the appearance of 8 golden dragons. Roar. The 8 golden dragons all opened their mouths and let out a dragon sound that resounded throughout the world. I stood up slowly, with a concentrated expression and a thought. The 9 eyes heaven realm unfolded out of thin air. The black barrier struck all around at extremely fast speeds. In the blink of an eye, the 9 eyes heavenly domain enveloped the entire Fengdu city. The moment the 9 eyes heaven realm unfolded, it directly cut off the connection between the 9 nether Yinju formation and the outside world. The Suianzi in the formation is also slowly disappearing. I looked at Emperor Fengdu. Emperor Fengdu's face was full of uncertainty. I summoned the Jingxiao sword and pointed it at Emperor Fengdu. "Now it's my turn to fight back." Emperor Fengdu looked at me with a cold expression and said, "Lu Su, you are really surprising. You actually used this method to temporarily disable my 9 nether Yinju formation." I sneered and said, "Any formation and any technique has its weaknesses. Although your 9 nether Yinju formation is powerful, it is not without flaws. Okay, you've been arrogant for long enough. It's my turn next." End of chapter.